So we've talked about users and groups, and those are pretty straightforward concepts. These users relate to individual people, and groups being their role or some other way of organizing those people into groups. But what about devices? Go into the devices menu and you'll see that I don't have any devices within this Active Directory account, and there's no way to add them. Like, there's no plus device menu item. So devices have to be registered to your Active Directory, but they're done externally from the portal. Okay. Now the devices could be anything from these are electronic resources that you're adding to your Azure Active Directory, and then from that point you're able to give them permissions to access applications and other resources. If I go into the device settings menu here, we can see here at the top level that we can allow users to join their devices to our Active Directory. So these devices are typically their own, right? Their own phones, their own tablets. Do we want them to be able to register with those devices to use our applications? Do we require multi-factor authentication, or do we have a maximum number of devices per user? So in this case, I set it to 10. I think the default was 50. You can have any sort of these range of numbers that a single user is allowed to have devices registered with us. Okay. So these are the settings. I'm going to leave them as they are for now. But how would I register a device? Let's say I did want to volunteer a device to register to this thing. Well, on Windows 10, you type connect in the menu, and you can see connect to work or school as a menu item. And this pops up this settings box that allows me to join this device, my Windows 10 computer from home. I can join it to this Azure Active Directory. Okay, it says get access to resources like email, apps, and the network. Connecting means your work or school may control some things on this device, such as what settings you can change. So these you can basically have group policies, etc. So to demonstrate this, I can say connect. Now this is going to pop up a dialog box, and this is going to be a web page, a Microsoft Azure web page that's going to ask us to sign in here. Now I'm going to let that start up for a second. I'm going to go into the users here. Now I'm going to need to use a registered user. So let me pick Joe Green here. Just too lazy to type his full email address. So it's asking me to enter the email address for a work or school account. So I'm going to use Joe Green's work account here. Now this is associated with my Azure Active Directory. This domain is associated with it. So when I enter my password here, then this is going to join this device to my Azure Active Directory. All right, so I was able to log in as Joe Green here. Now my Windows computer will tell me that I'm part of this work or school account. When I go back into my test account and I can see, let's start with Joe Green here. Go into the users. I can see that he's here. And now I go into devices, and my Windows computer shows up as an Azure AD registration for Joe Green. If I go to the top level under devices, then now my computer shows up here as well. Okay. Now I'm able to disable login for this particular computer, which will basically make my Windows computer disconnect from this, or I can obviously delete the registration, etc. Okay, so we've seen here that we're able to create users and groups. Users are able to register their devices because we allow it under device settings. Okay, we can obviously turn off the device registration options or block to certain groups the ability to join devices. And this allows us to control those devices. That basically those devices become part of our directory here, and we can apply certain permissions, single sign-ons, applications can take advantage of that, etc.